Oh, Washington. You've divided, beautiful, split right down the middle state. Yeah. So, for those of you who aren't very familiar with Washington, it is evenly divided by the Cascade Mountain Range, which splits it stem to stern, as they say, right, more or less down the very center. It's warm and cold and arid on the east side of the mountains, and wet on on the west side of the mountains. And politically, it's farm country, mostly, with a bit of tech and historically some manufacturing on the east side. And it was fish, timber, airplanes, and fish and timber, and eventually airplanes, and on the west side. We used to get along much better than we currently are. In fact, this is a political rarity. I was born in '66, started going to Eastern Washington in the mid-'70s, and this is the worst I've seen the relationship between the two sides of the mountains. For those Puget Sounders who aren't aware, they refer to us collectively as 206ers. And they try and get a bunch of shit taken care of before the 206ers got there, and now the 206ers aren't really showing up anymore. It's because of a mix of things. In part, it's because of the perception of the gun-toting Trumpist perception that us 206ers have, and it's left over from the pandemic. We didn't go out much, and for those of you that didn't grow up in the area, there's a lot of very beautiful spots in Eastern Washington, recreationally, and it's a very, very different climate, both politically and climate-wise, the weather. It's hotter and drier in the summers. It's colder and drier in the winters. But there's beautiful, beautiful places. Lake Chelan specifically, spectacular. Moses Lake. And then Concanully and Omak and Okanagan and Yakima. Walla Walla is one of my favorite, the most beautiful. Pound for pound, Walla Walla is one of the most beautiful college towns in the state and anywhere. And they're not all gun-toting Trumpists. There's every stripe that exists on this side of the mountains exists over there, and it's a healthy, diverse community with a major Hispanic population, which is grand because they're Mexicans and the everybody from south of the border is wonderful folk, very family oriented, which makes it very nice to hang out in their small towns. Now there is guns. At bars, there's empty holsters because even there they respect the no guns in bars policy. I have mixed feelings about that. I've had to get zen with it in order to hang out there. And I'll tell you, after I got over the initial shock of seeing that 4 of the 6 guys at the ponied up to the bar had an empty holster, which meant they just left it in the truck. I felt strangely safe. So one of the towns I hang out with gave up their cop a few years back. They just couldn't afford it, or made the decision that he wasn't necessary. I think they had a great one, and then they got a marginal one, and I think they had a great one again before they just made the town made the decision not to have a cop anymore. But even with very mixed opinion, I support the Second Amendment, right? Everybody needs the right to own guns, but I don't want to live in a place where I feel the need to carry on a regular basis, and I've never felt that need, even when I was a process server. But much like having a pit bull in the room, I don't lock my car doors when I'm in a town where everybody's carrying, because that's a fuck around and find out place. So while I but we need each other. The arrogance of the Western side. So I got to discuss two arrogances with you. The arrogance of the Western side of the mountains. Not everybody, but the majority of Puget Sounders. And then the arrogance of the east side of the mountains. And my ideas for just a general detente. Okay. If you're from the west side of the mountains and you say something like, what is the east side good for, or let them fucking break away, or we should push him out, or my personal favorite I heard recently was, I've been to Nebraska, I don't need to see Eastern Washington. There's a lot more going on in Eastern Washington than you realize. If you use electricity, you can thank them, because it came at no small cost. The land they gave up, and they still have lost, both settlers and tribal people, and what they have to endure to get the power to this side of the mountains is no small feat. Also, if you like garbanzo beans, that region is one of the global producers of garbanzo beans. Some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen, and I've traveled all the western U.S. Some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen. Friendliest people, great bars. Wally's Booze Emporium in Wenatchee is fantastic. But we used to be able to go over there and relax. And the perception now is that if you go over there, you'll get in a political argument in a bar. Well, just don't talk politics. I've had to steer around a number of the Trumpiest guys, but if you let them run their mouth for a few minutes and don't join in, the locals will tell them to shut the fuck up, Bill. You know what? I'm not calling out Bill. I know several Bills, but when somebody tends to go off the rails, they're better about wrangling them in than we are about somebody harping on a topic here in Puget Sound. Yeah. So now, advantages. So when you get over there, you're going to drive like you drive over here, and you can spot a 206er instantly over there, because there's if you don't tailgate, you get to look at the mountains. There's places where you can drive on a perfectly straight highway with mountains in front of you and mountains behind you, and a view of the road for miles in every direction. And if you don't run up on the bumper of the car in front of you when you first leave the last town, you can do that with no other cars in sight, and then you can just sit back and enjoy driving again. The competition for resources in Western Washington has led to just an unhealthy obsession with, I have to have it right now, I got to do it the way I've always done it. Gators aren't natural to Washington State. Don't be a gator, and in that case I mean tailgaters. The amount of stress you have driving from Lake Chelan State Park to Chelan, the town of Chelan, if you don't give 30 seconds, 2 seconds following distance, 3 seconds, no, fuck that, 30, 40, just pull off or slow down. No one's in front of you other than the car right in front of you. No one's behind you, and it's just drive alone. Drive alone, just you and your family or your dog or whoever, and pull over As soon as you can't see anybody in either direction, pull back out and enjoy the fucking scenery. To quit following the bumper of the car in front of you through an epic canyon. They need our money. We need the relaxation, and it's time to fix this. The animosity is unjustified on both sides, and the fear is unjustified. And yeah, so get over to Eastern Washington. If you're from Puget Sound and you're just feeling stressed and you wish you could go to Mexico or just get out of the country or go to Yellowstone or any of the big national parks, enjoy what's here in Washington. Head to Eastern Washington. Don't talk politics in a bar. I don't recommend college sports either. Find out whether it's a Huskies bar or a Cougars bar before you step on that landmine. But go over there, have a good time. They not only miss our money, but they miss us, and we miss the decompression we get. The parking spaces are bigger. I got out of the car the other day and realized my parking job was shit. I looked back at the car, and I was way off the line, and I walked around and peeked at the other side. I had plenty of room left over, because on average their parking spaces are 1.5 to 3 feet wider. Les Schwab and Ballard at opening, 10, 20 people. Les Schwab and Chelan at opening, 3 to 5. Coffee shop, Seattle, popular coffee shop, 8 people in line in front of you. Over there, 2, 3. At a very popular, delicious coffee, but yeah, there's just less stress. I recommend at least 2 nights and 3 days, but ideally get over there for a week. Save your soul. You guys are all losing your mind. Me too. But it doesn't have to be this way. 2 hours that way, and I'm pointing east right now. East. 2 hours east is just a respite. And great people. I can make good recommendations if you tell me how much time you got on your hands. Even a day trip over there, it'll just change your head. Still, remember, pot's legal everywhere in Washington State, and the reservations have great deals. So we need to get along. The tax base, the churn, we can do a better job as Washingtonians reaching out across the mountains, man. Has to be done.